Hello, everyone. This is Robert Newkirk, and I'd like to welcome you to our YouTube channel. And welcome to another episode of Budgeting in Three Dimensions. In today's episode, we are privileged to interview Dr. Dennis Kimbro. He's a business professor at Clark Atlanta University in Atlanta, Georgia, and he is the author of The Wealth Choice: Success Secrets of Black Millionaires. And he's also the original chosen author by the Napoleon Hill Foundation to write the startup book, Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice, a book that Napoleon Hill has started and he was asked to finish it. And we're going to be in conversation with him on the surrounding philosophy of budgeting in three dimensions. So sit back and take a listen because you will find this to be extremely beneficial. Hello, everyone. This is Robert Newkirk coming back with our third segment of Budgeting in Three Dimensions, which you can find on our website, jwamoney.com. And all of our interviews are on our blog. So feel free to come and listen in at any point at any time. And right now, I'm still having this conversation with Dr. Dennis Kimbro. And we're going to go ahead and continue in your book, The Wealth Choice. And that's your latest project right here, just sitting right here. You explore some intriguing concepts called the calculus of compensation. And I love that title, by the way. I just love that title. What it does is it calls on 9 variables that deal with life in general and how they differ between the haves and the have-nots. And which variable out of those do you consider the most important that readers should distinguish if they are truly committed to becoming wealthy and successful in their own right?
Probably, arguably, the way that the difference in the have and have not, how they approach life in terms of their education, K through 12 versus lifelong learning. Again, and that goes back to what we initially said at the opening of this segment, Robert. You got to get control of your mind. You know, if you read 30 to 60 minutes a day in the field of your choice, and I don't care what that field is, I mean, you do that over a 3-year period, you'll be known throughout your neighborhood. You do it over a 5-year period, you'll be known throughout the nation. But you read 30 to 60 minutes a day, uninterrupted, undistracted reading. You do that for 7 years, you will draw world recognition. Well, there is something in about that habit, about lifelong learning. And I'm not talking about taking in knowledge so you can recite a story or you can recite statistics or data. I'm talking about taking in knowledge so you can take action. That's the highest form of knowledge and information. And that's what the haves do. Where the have-nots, they approach life and education, K through 12, well, the have-nots, lifelong learning, and they transform that and they implement it into action. They take action on what they read. Now, again, if you look at spirituality and you look at spirituality, that the have, you will look at, the have-not will look at spirituality to praise him, to uplift him. Well, we're going to do that too. But the have will look at that spirituality, not only to praise and uplift, but they'll look at the biblical verse, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Well, when they read that verse, if that's true, what are we doing? What are we waiting around here? Let's go do something. Take a bias for action, a sense of urgency. Do it now. Let's build something. Let's do something. Let's go somewhere. So that is the critical difference of how they approach life and how they approach, you know, all those other variables that I listed also come into play.
Okay. Now, I just wanted to make mention that in our course that's online, jwamoney.com, in session 1, I specifically cover in detail your variables of the calculus of compensation. And to me, I'm glad that you pointed out the most important one from your perspective. But the most enthralling of the variables for me was money itself, where the have-nots act rich and the haves act poor. And you make this statement that I have to read out of the book. See, it says, does your money speak to your character, your aims, and your ambitions, or does it point out your lack of values or shallow standards? That one hit me like on the side of the head, something big time. As this concept of acting rich because you're poor and acting poor because you're rich sounds like an oxymoron to me. But what did you find in your research that makes this variable contrast so true?
Well, my mind goes back to Ken Brown and Pasha Carter and a few other folks. Ken Brown, one of the millionaires that I interviewed, he also completed a survey for me up in Detroit. He said the poor keep score by cars and clothes. The middle class keep score by degrees and titles, but the wealthy keep score by their bank account. Pasha Carter, who made her millions in multi-level marketing, said, you can make money or you can make excuses, but you can't do both. You can't do both. And then last but not least, going back to Kerber John Caldwell, who a pastor in Houston, Texas, he said to me, in terms of there is nothing easy about easy payments. Well, that all gets back to our consumption patterns and how we view money, Robert. How do you view money? Do you want the latest clothes? Do you want the latest bling bling? Do you want the latest car? Or are you going to make sure that money works for you? Is money going to be your slave, or are you going to be a slave to money? Are you going to master your finances? Are you going to take control of your money? You will either take control of your money or your money will take control of you. And that's based off of how you view it and how you make money work.
Okay. Yeah, that's that's very serious. And one thing that I noticed was that I would notice the CEOs of different companies. And one thing about them that I found was in common is they all drove a pickup truck. None of them drove Mercedes. None of them drove the BMWs. It was always a pickup truck. And some of them had the ugly hood on the back of them too. But that goes into the case where we're talking about your thought process as to what you're going to do with money. And most of the CEOs that you find out there, they're not flashy at all. And they just go about their daily work and invest where they need to, and they just get enough to get from A to B. They don't need the luxury along the way and so forth. Now, that's not to say that you can't have it. But I just found that to be a trend. And I found it very interesting about their pickup truck. So there you go.
I remember when I had a presentation in the Bahamas, and Michael Roberts, who at one time he was on the cusp of being a billionaire. He owns about 20 hotels or this, that, and the like. And he picked me up from the hotel, and it was the oldest. It was a Chevy, but just like you said, it was the oldest, raggedy, needed a paint job, needed a new interior pickup truck. And I was so, man, I didn't even know if I wanted to put my briefcase down on the floor of that truck.
Oh, wow.
But I said, wow. I said, man, Robert, you have held on to this thing forever, man. But yeah, you're exactly right. Because it was a vehicle. I got him from point A to point B. And that's all he was concerned with. Now, I held 6 focus groups around the country. And the only reason why I held those focus groups, I wanted to see how they interacted with their peers. And when they are around their peers, there is no bling bling. There is no look at me. There is no beating on the chest. I'm worth more than you are. No, it is all respectful, and it's all networking, and it's all engagement, and it's all helping out each other. Now, when they get around, and they have their annual balls and their annual confabs and everything, Well, that may be a time when they break out the Rolex watch. That may be a time when they break out the designer fashion. But it's not to put anybody to shame and say, look what I have and you don't. They are all very respectful, and it's all done in its proper context and place.
Mm. Okay. Well, I went ahead and I kind of did a correlation analysis, and I did it between your two books here, What Makes the Great Great and The Wealth Choice. I want to make sure everybody can see those, so you can go on Amazon and get you a copy. Particularly dealing with the 9 disciplines of wealth, as you say, in What Makes the Great Great, and then you redefine it as 9 disciplines for Black millionaires.
Yep.
And the most intriguing derivative that I thought was made with the discipline of persistence, that was in What Makes the Great Great, and the discipline of never consider the possibility of failure in The Wealth Choice. And even though these books were written 16 years apart, you were pretty precise in the language that you used in describing both of them. However, in The Wealth, you start off with a direct challenge to the reader's internal state. And it says, if you are afraid to fail, I suggest that you read no further. Close the book and retreat back to the huddled masses, to the humbled crowd, to the status quo. That's a hard punch for someone to take. But what is the intentional pinpoint dynamic that you are addressing and tying that correlation between persistence and the consideration of failure that every reader needs to realize when they look in the mirror?
Well, the thing is, the crowd never gets it right, and the masses never get it. I mean, you look at all the great social movements, you look at all the change agents and the influencers. Any change that comes about, Robert, has always begun and always started with the soloist, not the choir. So if you are afraid of sticking your toe in the water, if you're afraid of sticking your head above the sand, above the horizon and whatever, go back to the crowd. And whatever the crowd, you go ahead and with the huddled masses, and you can go ahead and plod your way through life. But like I said, it takes courage. It takes that one individual to go ahead and step out from the crowd. That one individual who believes in himself or herself when no one else will, to make the difference, to go ahead and attract wealth, to, set the pace, to do what they know that they have to do come hell or high water, no matter what others may say or do.
Well, I just had to take a moment to let that marinate for a second. Just let it marinate, soak in for everybody. But we're going to go ahead and get ready for our next segment, because we're not finished yet. And so yes, we're going to continue the next segment of our series that is currently called Budgeting in 3 Dimensions. This is Robert Newkirk, and I would like to thank you for tuning in to our YouTube channel. I certainly hope you were able to absorb some valuable golden nuggets while you were watching our videos. If you appreciate what we have to offer and have the cravings for more, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Also like and comment on our channel as you see fit, and stay tuned for more videos and updates as they come along. And also be sure to visit our website, robertfnewkirk.com. Thank you once again, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.